Hi everyone, and welcome to my book critique set 3. So my first book that I touched upon is The 21 Balloons, and this book is about a man, Professor Sherman, who decides to travel around the world with his balloons. But he ends up landing on an amazing island, and on this island he experiences many different adventures and surprises. I really enjoyed reading this book, and I personally chose this book because I remembered reading it when I was in about third through fifth grade, and I was about 10 years old, and just reading it and discovering more about how interesting it was to read a story about a man traveling around the world to fascinating places and landing on an island and coming into contact with so many different things that were described in the story. I really thought would be very fascinating for children as well. So that's a big reason why I chose this book. And the first lesson that I would do would be a fourth grade literature lesson. And the objective I chose is students will create their own story using the characters from 21 Balloons. So they will start writing out some ideas for their own creative story. They will decide what they want the cover of their story to look like, and students will begin to form their storybook on mystorybook.com. So here is an example. We can go to the website together, and it's very easy website to navigate for your students and help them figure it out. And then you just click on here. And I just thought this would be a great way for them to dive a lot deeper into, after reading this really fascinating story, that they could make their own, but that in still incorporating some things that they learned from the book 21 Balloons into their own storybook using the same characters. So then they could set the scene. You can use different colors. So I just thought this would be a very interactive thing for the students. Then my second lesson would be a third grade science lesson. So the objective would be the students will be able to learn more about the matter of air balloons and the science of it. Students will discover some basics of how matter works in hot air balloons. Students will learn how hot air balloons are constructed and how to launch them. Students can construct their own mini hot air balloon and create their own experiment with it. So I personally remember just when I was younger and being in my science class and being able to see an experiment take place of what we were learning in our science book or in our literature book really helped me to further understand the concept of it and the way that it worked a lot better. So I thought that it would be so fun and again interactive for the students to then make their own mini hot air balloon. And they could design it themselves, and I just thought that'd be a really great way for them to work with one another as well. The second book that I chose is The Gardener. This story is about a young girl, Lydia, who sends letters to her family during the time of the Great Depression. So she sends the letters about what is going on in her life as she's living with her grandma. And as the time's going on and she's sending these letters to her parents, she begins to start planning the most fascinating garden of her own. And I loved just how sweet this story was about how tender and loving Lydia is in trying to bring joy and love out of just the really hard times of the Great Depression. And just reading through this book, because I never read it before, and seeing the amazing image at the end of all of her flowers being grown and people buying them, and she was just very excited about it. So that was a really big reason why I chose this story, and just how it's a tender story that shows the loving experience of sending letters to your family and friends, and that it is a beautiful way to stay in touch. And that is my book critique. Thanks so much for watching.